Hey guys, welcome back to your library's YouTube channel and this red table. I've been thinking about Henrietta Lacks lately, the woman born in 1920 who is still alive today in some ways because of medical technologies and research done on her cells. But I've also been thinking about how you and I watching this video right now might also be alive forever, or something like that. All that and more coming up right now, so let's get started. Henrietta Lacks wore a lot of hats. She was a Virginian, a mother, and a black woman in the 20th century, which was its own kind of difficult. But importantly for today's talk, Henrietta was sick. In her early 30s, Henrietta went to Johns Hopkins Hospital, more than 250 miles away, to get treated for a knot that she felt in her stomach. At the time, Johns Hopkins was one of the only hospitals that would treat an African American person. But unfortunately, and even tragically, the knot that they found in Henrietta Lacks was cancerous. Henrietta Lacks would pass away in the same year that they discovered that she had cancer. But this story doesn't end with tragedy. See, as part of the treatment for Henrietta's cancer, doctors at the Johns Hopkins Hospital took a sample of her cells. They did so without Henrietta's permission or consent, which was normal at the time. Spoiler alert, this is not okay in modern times. What they discovered about Henrietta's cells would change science forever. Literally, it's still changing science as we see it today, 100 years in the future. But before we get into that, we have to talk about cells. Hey, everything that's alive today is made up of cells. You got brain cells, blood cells, cancer cells. I even have a cell right here. You can think of a cell like a little factory. All of them take in nutrients and use those nutrients to build something important inside the human body. But each cell actually has a really important purpose. Two, actually. The first is to stay alive, and the second one is to make more cells. That second part, the cell making portion, is really important because as cells die off naturally in the human body, we have to replace them somehow. For example, did you know that your skin cells actually die off every month or so? Which means that every single month, you're technically kind of wearing a new skin. But how do cells make more cells? Well, they do so by making copies of themselves and then dividing in half. You take one cell, and that one cell makes two cells. Two cells make four make eight, etc. So what made Henrietta's cells so special? See, with the average cell, if it leaves the human body like a dead skin cell might, it would just die, it would stop replicating. But the weird thing about Henrietta's cancer cells was that even outside of the human body, they continued to make more and more cells, which meant more human tissue, which meant more things for scientists to experiment on. It was Dr. George Otto Gay at Johns Hopkins Hospital that actually discovered that Henrietta's cells continued to replicate endlessly. And because of that, Henrietta's cells are known as the first immortal cell line. Since this discovery, scientists have used HeLa cells, named after Henrietta Lacks, for an abundance of scientific marvels. HeLa cells are what we use to test and approve vaccines, like for polio and, you guessed it, COVID-19. HeLa cells were sent to space in the 1960s to see how humans would react to no longer being on Earth. And by sheer accident, HeLa cells were used to discover how many chromosomes the human body had, which was 23. They were even used to make the first human-animal hybrids, which is incredibly unethical and illegal now. Spoiler alert, trying to make weremice is illegal and really wrong. Even today, HeLa cells are still being tampered with, experimented on, and used to profit the scientific community. Wait, profiting? Well, yeah. Scientists further their research with HeLa cells, corporations offer therapies and treatments that we tested on HeLa cells, and every day we benefit from the knowledge we gained by using HeLa cells. And that's all great and all until we remember that the cells that were taken out of Henrietta were done without her consent, and she was never informed that they were being used for science experiments. And worse yet, the fact that pharmaceutical companies have been benefiting financially from HeLa cells for decades, and Henrietta Lacks' family has received no financial compensation for the use of her cells. None. Zero. And sure, Henrietta Lacks' legacy will live on forever. But is it really fair for the entire world to benefit off of one person's cells and for them not to receive more than their name on the cells? It's like the kid that copies homework in class. I mean, technically your work is being appreciated twice, but it's still not right, right? The problem with HeLa Lacks is the lack of consent, the lack of bodily autonomy, but also the lack of ownership over one's own property. I don't know if you've taken the time to think about it, but this generation is actually the first to have high definition, high fidelity recordings of basically everything that we do. I had to read books and articles about what Henrietta Lacks was like. Like, what was it like to be a black woman in the 1920s? None of us can know for certain, but 100 years from now, nobody's gonna have to read a book to know what we were like. They're gonna have video, so it's going to be like they were right here. So to my future grandchildren, hello, it's Grandpa Kyle. How you doing? And I hope your homework is done. Technology has allowed all of us to achieve some level of immortality, which begs the question, If it's not fair for people to benefit indefinitely from Henrietta Lacks' cells, should it be okay for people to benefit indefinitely from videos that we shoot of ourselves? Nobody really knows. That's kind of the question of 2022. But who profits off of this video? The same way that pharmaceutical companies endlessly benefit from HeLa cells is the same way that YouTube endlessly benefits from our videos. When you see an ad before, in the middle, or after a video, YouTube makes money because someone paid them money to have ads before your videos. That's money that I don't see, that your library doesn't see, that most creators on YouTube never see. In fact, the creators who are big enough to receive money from AdSense only get a tiny percentage of what the video makes overall. And long after we're gone, YouTube will continue to put ads in their videos if YouTube is still around, and they'll continue making money off of them whether we like it or not. Some might say that it's fine because YouTube is free. We can watch videos for free, we can upload videos for free. But is it the right thing? Who knows? And the bigger question, if it can happen 100 years ago with Henrietta Lacks and it's happening today with us, then is there a solution to this problem at all? Spoiler alert, there's not really a solution. Not a satisfying one. The truth is that one person often can't change an entire institution. The Lacks family has been advocating for rights for Henrietta for the longest, and they've only made a little bit of headway. But what we can do is show these institutions that to us, the consumers and the viewers and the contributors, it's important that we get credit for the work that we do. That means leaving credit when you borrow somebody's artwork or music for a video. And when you Google pictures that you're gonna put on your History Fair project, make sure that you cite the source somewhere. Overall, just demonstrate in your everyday life that you respect who puts in the work to make these fantastic videos and art and music and contributions to science. And when we show each other that we care about giving credit where it's due, we put pressure on companies and corporations to do the same. I mentioned that the Lacks family has never been directly compensated and that they've been trying for decades to get more credit for the Henrietta Lacks name. Well, Johns Hopkins Hospital, the place that Henrietta was treated, is actually giving out scholarships to students who want to learn how to be doctors. So they didn't exactly pay out, but they did pay forward. And that's a good first step. So don't let YouTube steal your homework, and give credit where it's due. And show your future grandchildren how much you appreciated this video by liking and subscribing to your library's YouTube page. Shows us how much you appreciate this hard work. So thank you for watching. This has been Kyle at the Bay County Public Library. Happy Black History Month, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye.